So the Apple event is done right now. So we have the two new MacBooks right over here. It's completely for the pro workloads and it has been powered by the M1 Max and the M1 Pro chips. Now these are the industry leading technologies. The M1 itself is the breakthrough in the industries. Comparing to that, we have the M1 Pro and the M1 Max as well. Now, let me just tell you about the main differences or what all are the key features that we are able to witness in these new laptops. We have the two models, that is, one is the 14-inch and the other is the 16-inch Pro models as well. In the previous 16-inch models, it was still running the Intel chips. Now we have been transitioned into the Apple silicon itself. Now let me just give you a quick idea about the design changes. For the design there is not much difference, but in the images I could make out that the rubber fittings are a bit too taller this year because we have the improved cooling system as well for these hotter M1 performance chips. These are not really hot, right? Yes, these are not really hot, but still they are giving a much better cooling performance as well. Now, because of these, maybe the standoffs are high. I don't know exactly about that. For the design, the main highlighting thing is the display. In the Pro models, we are getting the mini LED displays with the local dimming zones as well, which means the blacks are going to immensely look black, and we are going to get a 1,000:1 contrast ratio as well. Now, these mini LED display are again topped up with a 120Hz ProMotion as well. Now 120Hz is an adaptive refresh rate which saves a ton of your battery life as well. Now that is an eye-catching thing right for me. Now the Apple has been late for some of their features, I can say. Now in the ProMotion as well, no one did an adaptive refresh rate. It would lock at 60 or 120 or 144, but the Apple made it somehow and made it an adaptive refresh rate. When you're scrolling, it goes to a high refresh rate, and when the content is stagnant, it drops down the refresh rate as well. So this is why I like Apple, because they do some breakthrough in the industry, and that is what I love about them. Okay, now let me just talk about the display on this. The display has a thinner bezels and it has a notch on the screen as well. So this notch is housing an 1080p camera, which was earlier having a 720p camera. It now has a 1080p camera. Including to that, there is no Face ID. If it had a Face ID, I would have loved this. Since this has a larger notch, I thought in the initial impressions that it had a Face ID, but it does not have. Okay, fine for me, not a big deal. 3 more categories and we are done with this. The next one, let me just talk about the keyboard right over here. For the keyboard, the first one, everybody has noticed that the fingerprint reader is embedded into the power button itself, and there is no touch bar as well. Now this is a kind of disappointing. A part of me liked the touch bar, but I wouldn't use so much of touch bar, but it is still fine. They are being replaced with the physical function keys that most of you have been asking about. So that has been accomplished in this. Again, it is comprehended by the large trackpad right over here. Force touch trackpad, amazing. Such a trackpad cannot be found on any of the laptops in the price segment. Now, the next most important category, that is the performance of this. The 14-inch is powered by the M1 Pro chip and the 16-inch is powered by the M1 Max chip. Now let me just have a comparative analysis. Now for the M1 Max chip, there are 8 high performance cores and there are 2 high efficiency cores as well. Again, for the GPU, again we have a 16 core GPU, that is 8 cores more than the previous generation M1, which means you're going to get 100% more improvement in the GPU performance as well. Now in addition to that, there is an media codec, which means the ProRes video, that is the highest codec, can be imported, edited, exported in a fraction of minutes. That is what I love about this M1 silicon. Despite being so powerful, the consumption of the power is really very less. Day by day, Apple is enjoying playing with graphs, I guess. Let me just quote exactly what the Apple said about this. For the Apple silicon, power efficiency is what defines the system performance. and that is really very true. For a slim and compact notebook like that, you are getting an industry leading performance, and it is a breakthrough in the industry, I can say. So it is for the pro users who can make the complete use of so much power in a slim form factor like that. Again, do not forget, there is no hit in the battery life as well. We are getting the same amount of battery life in case we are having a little bit of improvement in the battery life as well. That is a great news to share with you. Now, let me just talk about the M1 Max. This has the same CPU, that is the 8 high performance cores and the 2 high efficiency cores. Here in the M1 Max, we are doubling the GPU performance by giving 32 GPU cores, which means it is going to have 4 times faster processing than the M1 chip, which is again powered by a dual media engine, which again has an Thunderbolt controller as well. Now with the M1 Max and the M1 Pro chip, you can connect 3 6K displays and 1 4K display. That is an amazing thing to share with you. Now so many displays, how are you going to connect? That brings to our next topic, that is the ports on this machine. For the ports, we have one is the HDMI port, which is followed by a Thunderbolt 4 port, which is followed by an SD card port, and the last one is the audio jack itself. On the other hand, you have 2 Thunderbolt ports, a MagSafe charger. Finally, the MagSafe charger is back. These are all the IOs that are present with the all new MacBooks. So that's it about the all new MacBooks. Do subscribe for more amazing content, because we are going to review every single one of them and you don't want to miss it. So stay subscribed, stay healthy, stay safe, and we will catch you in the next one.